started. Jason,
Lord, I love you tonight. Thank you for life, for the privilege of living in this country. I pray you be with us tonight and help us go about the business of Township and give us wisdom in Jesus' name.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks for all of you coming. It's kind of cold out there. We're going to try and get right with it. I won't hold you up too long. You've all had a chance to look at the agenda. Any changes, corrections? Entertain a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Motion made to accept
I'll second.
and second. All in favor? All opposed? Passed. December 8th. Minutes. You looked them over? Any changes? Corrections? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion made
I'll second.
and seconded. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, so at this time, we're gonna have an auditor's report,
Okay,
and this would be our township office.
good evening. My name is Joe Verlin from the Average Company, and I thank the board for the opportunity to be here tonight. I'm going to go through and kind of hit on the financial highlights of the township's audit report. My understanding is that the bound copies haven't arrived yet. We had them shipped last week, but it sounds like they got hung up in transit somewhere. They will be arriving, but the relevant pages are included in the packets. So what matters more than anything else can be found on the very first page. It's titled the Independent Auditor's Report, and this is where we provide the opinion on your financial statements. Second paragraph down, we wrote, in our opinion, the financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the township as of March 31st, 2025. This is a clean opinion on your financial statements. We can't provide a higher level of an opinion than this. It means that your numbers were verifiable. So the financial statements were provided to us. We work with the county, the state of Michigan, various financial institutions to confirm and validate the numbers, and everything came back clean. So we've had larger organizations that had either a modified or an adverse opinion on their financial statements because they couldn't stand behind the numbers that were provided to us. So it certainly means something to get to this point where you've got a clean opinion. At the same time, always should be the township's goal to have a clean opinion on your financial statements. The other paragraph that I wanted to point out on this page is the fourth one down, and it's somewhat unique. It's an emphasis of matter paragraph. And every 3, 4, 5 years, when the Governmental Accounting Standards Board issues a new statement, we are required to put it in writing and just bring it to the readers of the report attention that a new standard was adopted and implemented by the township. And all that this means is Governmental Accounting Standards Board issued statement number 101. It has to do with accrued vacation and sick time. It didn't have an impact on the township's audited financial statements. At the same time, it was implemented, and we did at least give consideration to how that would impact your financial statements. Next, if you go to page 5, this is the first page of management's discussion and analysis, and I always take readers through the management discussion and analysis because I would think of this as being the Cliff Note version of your entire audit report. So here you can see financial highlights. You've got 3 bullet points kind of hitting on some of the more significant ratios at year end, and then you can also see 2-year comparative financial statements, and then some narrative that explains reasons behind the changes in your revenues and expenses during the past 2 years. So working through the financial highlights, that first bullet point is a theoretical number. Theoretically, if the village or township were to sell all of its assets and pay all of its liabilities, the difference is net position, and that would be about $1.53 million. In the corporate world, we would call this equity. In the governmental world, we call it net position. And that includes all the assets, though, buildings and equipment, things of that nature. If we back off the non-spendable items, your unrestricted net position Second bullet point down kind of tells the readers of the financial statements, is the financial condition of the township improving or is it deteriorating? And during the course of the year, total revenues came in at $426,000 compared to total expenses of $295,479. Altogether, you had an increase in your net position of about $131,000 during the course of the year. In the corporate world, we will call that net income. So it's always good to see your revenues exceeding your expenses. Really, the big thing with townships, whether or not there's any road projects is going to determine whether your net position increases or decreases. There simply weren't as many road projects during fiscal 25 compared to previous years. So you had a healthy increase in your total net position during the course of the year. And then the third bullet point, now we're talking about your unassigned fund balance. So that's the most important, obviously, the most important fund of the township, and the unassigned fund balance represents the amount that the township has at its disposal to pay for roads and supplies and utilities, wages, things of that nature. So again, $1.285 million, and if we divide that by your annual general fund expenditures, you've got about 481%. Very common for a township the size of Adams to have about 481%. Not too much, not too little. You're in a very healthy financial position as of the end of the year. Gives you the buffer in case you've got one-time capital outlay or one-time projects or one-time expenditures that pop up. You've got the ability to be able to cover those types of expenses during the course of the year. Next, if you go to page 7, we get a look at the comparative assets and liabilities for the township for the last 2 years. Just a couple rows I wanted to point out here. First, always nice to know how your cash and investments are doing. I mentioned your revenues exceeded your expenses by roughly $130,000. The very top row shows your cash and investments. Very similarly, had about $140,000 increase when you look at March 31st, 2024 compared to March 31st, 2025. The end of the year at $1.26 million, up from $1.12 million the year before. And then unrestricted net position, 2 rows up from the bottom, you can see that the unrestricted net position increased similarly by $140,000 as well. And then just one more page that I wanted to point out. If you turn now to page 8, sorry, 2 more pages, page 8, you get a look at the comparative revenues and expenses for the last 2 years. And really, just a couple things I wanted to point out here. If you look in the very far right column, the 2024, you can see half a dozen rows up from the bottom here. Public works expenses in 2024, $215,000, and that number decreased down to $108,847. Again, primarily driven by road projects during the course of the year. So as your road projects increase or decrease, that's really the biggest, the single biggest item subject to change on these financial statements. 3 rows up from the bottom, you can see that in fiscal 24, the township had a decrease in net position of $35,730 compared to a $131,000 increase during fiscal 25. And then the last thing that I wanted to point out, if you go to page 17, which will be the next page in the packet, this shows your general fund, but in addition to the general fund, it also shows the second governmental fund, your cemetery fund, being the middle column. And you can see your cemetery fund, 3 rows up from the bottom, had a $4,905 increase in fund balance. So your general fund, the very first column, $139,738 increase in your general fund balance. And then when we add the 2 funds together, total increase in fund balance across both funds, just under $145,000 during the course of the year. So those are the highlights that I've got, and I'm certainly happy to take any further questions the board might have.
Any questions?
I don't have any, no.
I think we're doing pretty good. No, I don't. Jason? Oh. We appreciate you coming down.
Okay. Yep.
Glad to be here.
It's quite a trip for you.
Sure. That's what I do. So.
Well, I appreciate it. Just hear you tell us that we're all right.
Sure.
Okay.
All right. Very good. Thank you very much.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you very much.
Take care of that.
We'll do.
We're going to move on to County Commissioner Mr. Benson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Supervisor. Board, nice to be back with you. Happy New Year to you all. And I think winter's back this week, right? I had a very interesting drive from Kalamazoo Saturday night, coming back to Branch County on vacation up there, so winter is definitely back. A few updates from the county. At our last meeting of 2025, we did approve both the general fund and special revenue fund budgets for the county. It was pretty much as was presented. We did have a few amendments, a couple of personnel issues, and then we had left out an appropriation for CPR training for our employees. We did have that in the 25 budget, and we did put that back in so we can continue to with our OSHA compliance and to make sure that our employees are ready and able to use those AEDs that we have throughout the county buildings. We did settle both of our sheriff's department contracts. We have 2 unions there. We have the deputies, but also in that union are the dispatchers and the corrections officers. So, and then we also have the supervisor unit. That's the sergeants and above. And so they are 2 separate bargaining units. We did approve contracts with them. Both contracts are for 5 years. And we did look very, very hard at what we were paying. The sheriff made a strong argument. We had lost a significant number of personnel over the last couple of years over wages. There has been a real horsepower race in the law enforcement community as far as who can pay the most. Branch County just settled a new contract. Their deputies are getting a 15% increase in the first year. And we were already at the bottom of the heap in comparable counties. So counties that would be comparable in size, population, general budget, things like that. And so we wanted to do all that we could to try and get our deputies up to a much more competitive wage. And so to that, in the first year, they will receive it. So in this year, 2026, they will receive a 10% raise. The second year, it will be 4%, and then 3 5s. So that's about 29%, plus some compounding over that 5-year period. And at least based on where we're at right now in contracts, we'll look at that. That will bring us up from the bottom. So that's good news. We certainly don't want to necessarily lead the way and being the highest payest, but we want to pay our employees fairly, and we want to be competitive in that market. We also, at 911, we have had 2 unions out there, and so the supervisors, we currently are still working on that. We are going to go to mediation over wages with them, and we will see where we're at. That will happen in February. And then the lower unit, they actually dissolved their union. And so we've been trying to get them to the bargaining table, and we're unable to get anything opened up with them. And we were notified a week ago by their union that they were no longer going to be representing them. So those employees will go on to the county pay schedule. We have already gone ahead and classified them. We have a meeting scheduled with them Thursday night to kind of go over the particulars. But this is not unprecedented. Probably 5 years ago, the SEIU, which is all of our clerical workers, and interestingly, the drain commissioner workers, were all in the SEIU union, and same thing happened there. The union elected to no longer represent them, and so they became just scheduled employees of the county. That's worked out pretty good. We try to meet with those employees regularly and have a really good interaction, and I think that we have been fortunate. We've got a pretty good relationship with that group ever since they have dissolved their union, and I would anticipate the same at Central Dispatch. Speaking of employees, we do have a couple of openings in county government, and we have an opening in the clerk's office, and that is a clerical position, and they're pretty multifaceted in that office. They deal with anything from court filings to CPLs, marriage licenses, all of those things that the county clerk's office does. And then we are also looking for a field technician at the Drains Commission. So that would basically be an equipment operator position. I know Matt would like someone with a CDL or would be eligible to obtain a CDL. And if you know of anyone who might be interested in either of those positions, the information on where to apply is on the county website. And to that, speaking of the county website, we are also looking for a couple more members to our county planning commission. We need a representative from the ag community, and we also need a representative from economic development. Economic development could be any of the economic development groups or someone who currently sits on one of our TIFAs or DDAs or LDFAs. Any of them would meet the bylaws requirement. And the ag component is really just a representative from production agriculture. So if you know of anyone who might be interested, it does pay a county per diem, and so that's $35 for attending the meeting, and mileage from your home and back again. So it's certainly not a lot, but it definitely will offset your gas cost and maybe a little bit of your time, buy your lunch coming in town for that. So and again, that application would be on the county commission page, and just have them fill that out. It goes back to the clerk, and then it would come to the management personnel committee. Tomorrow, in our regular meeting, we will be looking at our revised ambulance contracts. All of our current contracts expired at the end of the year with the 5 ambulance agencies that serve Hillsdale County. We did have 2 of those on our agenda for our last meeting, and they were pulled prior to the agenda being pulled or being approved. And now all 5 of them have been posted as part of our agenda. However, I did hear earlier today that there is still some disagreement over some of the language on that, and so I would not be incredibly surprised if they were pulled from our agenda again. But to that, ambulances will continue to serve all the citizens of our county, and I know that I have gotten in the quarterly reports in the first week of January from 3 of those agencies. Their payments have been approved. And so if you call 911, somebody will still show up, contract or not. But we would like to get those done. We did have our board elections. We are required by statute to have an organizational meeting on the first business day of the new year. And so this year that was January the 2nd. And we did have those elections. And that is the one thing that we actually, under statute, can do by secret ballot. It's kind of interesting the legislature carved that out around the Open Meetings Act. And we can choose to do it by secret ballot or to not do it. And last year we did not do secret ballot. This year we went back to what has been the tradition in the past. And Mark Wiley was reelected as our chairperson, and I was honored to be reelected by my fellow commissioners as the vice chairman of the board. So I will continue on that position. And to that, tomorrow we will approve all of our committee appointments for 2026. And there should be really no changes in those appointments. It looks like all of our committee assignments. So I will remain chair of public safety and continue on with that, and then vice chair of our management personnel, and that goes hand in hand with being vice chairperson of the board. The latest and greatest on the 800 megahertz project is all of the towers are now complete. The radio rooms, or doghouses they call them, with precast concrete. Climate control, those have been set. They are working on getting the LP tank set. Power to the site, it's my understanding that power should be done at all 3 locations by the end of this month. And they will then work over the course of the winter to get the actual rigging up on those, and the radio set and the radio shacks at the bottom of the towers. We will be having train-the-trainer training for all of our police, fire, and EMS agencies. We'll have a representative from them come learn how those radios work, and then they will be able to go back to the various agencies and train their personnel. It is a little bit of a burden because a lot of those folks, that is not their full-time employment. In fact, most of the fire departments, that is the case. So it is a 3-day commitment, and so we're trying to make that work so that with some flexibility for folks so that we can get that training done for them. We still are on deadline to be completed that project in July of this coming year, and we are all of us in public safety are looking forward to have that new system up and going. And that concludes my report for you, unless you have questions for me.
Any questions for Mr. Benzing?
I have a question. I got somehow I was informed that the American Conservatives sent a memo to you guys about
suppose you introduce that. Any commissioner can introduce something on our agenda. So,
Oh, it could be introduced tomorrow, is that?
right.
Okay, all right. Well, it's just caught my attention what's going on with that case.
Right, and my take on it, this is just this commissioner, because there's 5 of us, okay? My take is that we don't interfere in ongoing court cases, and it is an ongoing court case, and so consequently, because of separation of powers, we probably are not going to involve ourselves as the legislative body of government in something that is currently in front of our courts sometime in the future. But I think that, again, that's just this commissioner. But I don't feel, just as we would ask the judges not to involve themselves in the legislative component of government, that we should not interject ourselves into what is an ongoing open court case. So.
Let me ask this general question. As a board of commissioners, if you see something going on that's unlawful by somebody or an organization or something like that in the county, do you have any authority to refer that to law enforcement or prosecution?
No different than any other citizen would.
Okay.
But there is no special authority for the Board of Commissioners.
All right. You can't speak as one voice as the board and say, can you do something about this situation?
And, again, that would be the legislative arm of government, interfering, in this particular, and to this, I'm not an attorney, but, to this, it is an ongoing court case.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, I'm gonna head to ransom. Thank you very much, Earl.
Be careful.
Do my best.
Up next is County Road Commission report, Mark Lyon.
Thank you for letting me report. Keep our own people here. Last week we met all 18 townships over 3 days. Each township got a packet like this. This is a PACER rating, which rates the roads in your township. And one of the things in there was a spreadsheet, should be in your packet. And the spreadsheet shows an average rating for, well, the rating is from 1 to 10. And the local paved roads have an average of 3.55. The primary paved roads had an average of 3.756. And Adams Township's roads were 4.025, so you are actually above the county average, which is good. And one thing that we didn't share at the meeting, because it wasn't done yet, but here is a review tentatively of the tally of the township contributions through 12/31/25. And Adams Township, their share of the road projects was $161,061.48 last year. And we thank it because it helped to get the roads repaired. Now, when you look on this map, you'll see the legend down here, and the roads that are rated with a 1 are usually red, and there is a few red roads still in Adams Township. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad road. What it is, probably, is on the shoulders of the road, there's getting what is called alligator cracking. And that pulls the rating down. Those are usually roads that can be paver patched, chip sealed, brought back to like an 8. And we did talk with Randy when he was at the meeting about, we recommend Peterson Road. I think that you've got to go talk with Jefferson about that. And then there's some other roads that you brought up, Randy, that you wanted to take a look at.
Yeah, Mark, but they're not gonna be handling that until 2028.
I mean, Knowles Road.
on, Lake Pleasant Road.
Yep.
North of Bacon.
And I think Heather was supposed to get a,
Yeah, she did. Right here.
okay, well, that's good. Is there any questions on this?
Do we, on the roads that you guys have slated, those are just recommendations, right? I mean, we can change, like,
Yeah,
Lake Pleasant Road from Peterson Road to Bacon. That was one of the ones you guys was wanting to do.
mhm.
And, I drove Peterson Road in Bacon, or in Lake Pleasant, all the way to Bacon. That road's in a lot better shape than the north side of Lake Pleasant. And I think our money, for the same amount of money, would be better spent if it was to be spent on the north.
The other one we talked about was, Maywood, wasn't it?
No, it was, we're right here, Lake Pleasant Road,
Was Peterson and Lake Pleasant?
Peterson to Bacon Road, and Peterson Road was one of them. We already did Gay Road.
Lake Pleasant Road from State to Gay,
Yeah, and then from Gay to,
North Adams.
North Adams. Yeah, that's the two.
That's the,
gays.
quote that Heather sent you then.
Yes, 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 that's,
Well, that's something that
we're gonna end up talking about it because.
you as a board can decide, you know, if that's the projects you wanna do.
Right, well, I just don't wanna, put the money into something that isn't necessary right now, when it could go to a project that is necessary. Right now,
We understand that.
so,
One thing I'll share with the public and the board, and Randy already heard Bob present this. The legislature okayed, or voted to do additional road funding for the roads. That probably will not take effect until after March, because of the different tax programs and shifts that they did. From December until then, our annual monthly payment from the Michigan Transportation Fund is down $100,000. So in 4 or 5 months, we're gonna be off that amount of money. It's supposed to take off after that, start planning. As far as road projects, we are gonna do what we can, but, until we get additional monies, where our hands are tight. We would be more looking at it for next year, doing additional road work. Part of the money won't be coming because that's from the marijuana tax, the 24% marijuana tax, and that's being held up in court by a lawsuit. So until that's all settled, that money's not there. All we'll be getting is the full tax on the gallon of gas. And that's the way that one is gonna be. But as far as, road work, we're gonna try to do more work this year on the primaries. We have figures where we've done a lot of work on the local roads over the last 3 years. And now MDOT wants us to do a switch and do more work on the primary roads. So we're gonna try to do what we can on those. That's not to say that we won't do work with townships that wanna do their cost share and, do road projects within the township on their local roads. As far as that, I guess, we'll be waiting to hear from you people, what you decide.
we're gonna talk about it the next.
Other than that, any questions, comments?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
we have, at least in the past, and I think we still do, a very excellent county map for roads. Do you still have that same map? I don't think I've ever seen a nicer map. So
I think don't hold me to this, I believe there's some, but they were gonna update that map.
Okay, well, I would encourage them,
They're actually gonna order new maps.
I would encourage them if they could to have one just as good or better. I don't know how you get a whole lot better, I really do think that's a great map, but when you talk about primary roads and such, that current map spells that out and lets people know just who it is, just where they
This
are.
one's on the website. You can get this one right off the website. It's, the bad part about it is when you run it through a printer, it gets small. And if you leave it on your computer screen, you can blow it up and see a lot better. But this, I carry this one with me and usually a magnifying glass, and that way I can look up roads. But,
Last I knew, the map that I'm referring to was available at other county offices as well, unless you're just getting too low on stock. So,
I believe you're right on that. I don't know for certain, but I believe you're right. I know there's one at the road commission. Usually there's maps in the lobby at the road commission too that you can pick up. Some are sponsored by MDOT, so they're all over the state, and I believe there's some county maps there too, but you gotta check into that. Any other, I see you had.
I was correct, it seemed like last year you had said that you were gonna be short like $1 million on road work. And today, did you say 100,000, or what's the, where are you at compared?
Our budget, we adopted a conservative budget, and it's $1 million less than last year.
Okay, your budget, okay.
Yeah. We had a $9 million budget last year. This year, well, 9 million and some change.
Yeah.
This year, it's 8 million and some change.
Okay.
But that's because we anticipated this loss of Michigan transportation funds.
Right.
Now, when March comes and we start getting monies in, we'll probably, after a month or two, we'll adopt a different budget. But a lot of people have been asking about this at other townships. I had one township clerk walk up to me and hand me a paper from the Michigan Townships Association that told that we were gonna have $11 million. And I said, I don't believe it when I see it. Because the state giveth and the state can take it away. But we should be improving though. I mean, these sources of funding were approved by the legislature. Now, as far as the marijuana tax, that's a court case. There's nothing set in stone on that. But the others that they did adopt, we should be looking for, or be receiving additional funds.
What did they do, they were trying to shift money from marijuana tax to the road commission, or?
No, they put an additional tax on marijuana, 24%.
Oh, okay. To try
And
to
that's what the lawsuit is about. People feel that's an excessive tax.
raise the cost of marijuana.
So, other than that, anybody else? I thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're gonna go into public comment. You have 3 minutes. Wait, I'm not done. Please, don't argue amongst yourselves, don't talk to each other. Keep it to the board, be polite. 3 minutes. Who's gonna be first? Mr. Beach.
Well, if I keep it under 3 minutes.
Give it a go.
I presented the fire contract last month, and someone asked about these battery operated cars. So I went back and asked the fire chief, and I caught him flat-footed. I don't know that I'm gonna be able to answer that question tonight, but he told me the best we can do is pour water on it till it quits burning, and sometimes they burn for 2 or 3 days. He said there's a tank up at, I believe it was Glick's scrapyard up in Jackson, that's full of water. They set it in there and then it bubbles until it goes out. And it takes a couple days. We have no provisions in the contract to cover that, so the contract will stay as stands, and we'll try to put the dumb thing out if anybody gets one on fire, which I hope they don't. Dallas didn't really come up, and it wasn't his fault, but he didn't come up with a real positive answer. You know, I told him, I said, that'd be kind of costly for us as volunteer fighters to spray water on that for 2 or 3 days.
Don't they have a phone for that, Rick?
Well, the foam doesn't put it out.
I thought it's smothered.
According to Dallas. And so Dallas is still looking into it, but I felt I should come out here and report that. But the fire contract still stands the same, and we'll figure that out. Hopefully we don't have I don't even know how the EPA is gonna handle that if you run water on that thing for 2 days and it goes in the ground.
I think the DNR.
There's a sock or a tent or
And
something.
then you got if you wanted to take it up to Jackson, how do you put the dumb thing burning on a trailer and haul it up there? So, I know that doesn't answer your question, but it's the best I can come up with. If we have to pour water on it for X number of days, I guess we will.
Can you put a big blanket over it?
Isn't there a blanket or a tent or whatever they call it? Which is
The foam that we have is supposed to smother everything out, but it does not smother the battery.
Well, we'll keep that in mind in case we ever get
It
a
would
battery.
deter me from,
Drive by my house.
it would deter me from buying one, I know that.
Oh.
Okay. Are you good?
Hope
Yes.
that,
As a comment to that, it is my understanding that water is the only thing that puts those out. They do say, talking to Hillsdale and some of the other ones who are at work, technically, how they put those out, if they have the equipment, there is a thing that goes under them with spikes. It spikes the batteries, and then they flood the batteries with water. The foam, my understanding, foam will not put them out. You have to cool the batteries to put them out. This is what I've been told by what little bit I've been told. They say there's like this cradle that goes under with, in the bigger cities, areas that can afford to have it. It goes under the car, there's spikes for water going, and they lift it up and spike that into the batteries in the bottom of the cars, and then flood water. They did a class
is there one of them in the state?
down to, I think it was, wasn't it, Woodbridge, did a class a year or so back on that, about what, was needed to,
Wasn't it a turtle? Didn't they call it a turtle?
yeah, I forget what they called it, but basically what they did, it went under spiked the bottom, and they had a class a year and a half ago, where they invited the different fire departments in the area, they got I think they may have got a grant for it, I don't remember. But that's basically how they do it, they're supposed to, this thing goes up under, they spike it, and then flood it, when the foam will not flood it.
Okay.
Do we have one of those in the county?
Mr. Rogers.
Just comment, normally after an audit report, the board would have a motion to accept the audit report. And that didn't happen, I don't know, plan on doing that, or?
Yeah, we probably when we get to that.
Okay.
Other than that,
I have a question. It's regards to the fact that the millages have been renewed in Adams Township at a continuous rate for the last X number of years. Did I hear him correct in saying that there was a 481% township budget surplus? Is that the number that was shown in your guys' report? It's kind of hard to keep an eye on. I think I wrote down 492,000 in revenue with 276 in expenditure, meaning 131,000 increase over last year, putting us at 1.285, which is 481% of our township budget.
give me just a second. $769, or approximately 480.5% of total general fund expenditures and transfers out.
Okay. So then I guess my statement in light of that, given the fact that the Adams Township millage is constantly renewed at its maximum, I'm curious, as of the board, what do you actually think the role of government is as far as managing that amount of money? You know, at a township level, do you think as a government, local township government, you have the responsibilities to manage 481% of our budget? And then my second question would be, what are your individual qualities from a financial management standpoint to feel that you are okay and qualified to manage taxpayer dollars at that amount?
That's why we hire people. We hired somebody else, but that didn't work out. So what we're doing is we hired some people we feel is qualified to guide us into how the money goes in and out of the township. I am not a financial wizard. I don't know anybody in this room that's a financial wizard. So we hire people to do that for us.
So at what point is that percentage
I don't,
beyond what the township should be managing as far as taxpayer dollars?
I don't know.
Unlimited?
I don't know.
Thank you.
Okay, so. Any more public comment? I see they're going. Go ahead.
Hey, I want to get out of here too. The football game on tonight, you know. Hey, so I don't know, the $48,000 deal that we owe to the IRS, I don't see that it's on the agenda.
It's not done yet.
I'm sorry?
It's not done yet.
It's not done.
No, we haven't heard back from the state. No, the IRS, I'm sorry.
Okay, so it's
When
still,
we hear it'll go on the agenda, we will definitely let you guys know.
okay, so that's the update. Okay.
That's as much as we got.
Are you
Guy
both-
in the back there.
Yeah, this is regard, you know, I appreciate all the work going in to put up the website. Is it the intention that all meetings are gonna be announced on this website?
All meetings going to be announced?
Yes, in the announcements section?
Are they announcing the meeting dates on the website?
Yeah, for the 2026 meeting dates, you mean?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, once I get those, I have those, I shoot them over to our web guy to have them upload all that kind of stuff there.
Okay, but the last meeting I'm showing is a change to the November 10th meeting. No December, the planning commission meeting isn't here, and the January meeting.
Right, so I'm like, I got the November's out there, I was waiting for December's, and then no time commission just met this week, right? So I'm just waiting from Jennifer or Jen to send me those minutes and I'll forward them
I'm
on.
not talking about minutes, I'm talking about the announcement of the meeting itself.
He just wants to know what days they're gonna be.
So can I go to the website and know when the meeting is? So then my next question is, when is the budget meeting?
Haven't set it up yet.
Will it be on the website?
Oh, well, hopefully.
Should, yeah. As soon as I get the announcements emailed to me from Susan or Jennifer, who's ever sent out those dates, then I'll scan those in and have Bob, our web guy, put them on the website, kind of stuff there.
And we'll set up a date for the budget meeting, and then that we will put on. So, anybody else? Anything else? Okay, hearing none, we're gonna move on. Old business would be the North Adams fire contract. Y'all have time to look it over. not as bad as I thought it would be, but we'll see. We are talking of 2 grinds again this year. Okay? So, we're gonna move on from that. Let me take this is for you.
The county sent out, the agreement for early voting. There's a couple of changes. The county is going to provide additional training for election inspectors working the early voting site. If the county or township clerk can't be there, there's a backup coordinator, and they will be the same as the hourly chair. County clerk will do everything within reason to keep costs low, but if the needs of election administration specific to early voting require the use of staff overtime, that will be divided between however many townships sign this early agreement, and then we'll have to pay it for our portion. And the board of the county election commissioners will be responsible for conducting the test of the electronic voting equipment, and the cost of per diem payment shall be listed as a reimbursable expense on the attached early voting budget. So, and this is something that was started in 2024 because the people had passed the bill.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. And the last thing on new business is the ballot box. Ballot box we have out front needs to be enclosed. We have 2 options. And I'll send this to you to look at those boxes here. We have 2 options. One is there's a bigger box, and it takes, the other is a slot that goes inside through the wall. Now, the inside slot has a box that collects the ballots on the inside, and it takes 2 keys to open that box. And both keys have to be operated at the same time. So there's no possible way that somebody could mess with it, or at least we're assuming anybody can be a crook. So if you look those over, decide that that's something that's okay for us to go. My thoughts are with the one that goes inside, do away with the outside ballot box. We contract a construction company to install it, make sure that it's secured in, and then go from there. But that will be with board approval.
And the state does pay for the ballot box.
So we would just be responsible for installation. We need you to put that in your room, Dave, or the clerk's room, but it has to be a secure location. And again, it does take 2 keys to open that box. So if there are any questions, any more conversation on it, I'd entertain a motion to purchase the ballot box that goes through the wall. It's a Kingsley 12-8151.
Do we need to get quotes on installation for that, or?
We need to get a quote on the installation, but if we can get an approval onto the box, then we will,
That way I can
When
get
it-
order.
yeah, and then it'll be here in time for elections, and we can find, at that time, I'll look around, find a company, and end up getting a quote from them before we agree on the installation. If it's so too much, we'll have to get more than one quote anyways, which I hope not. But either way,
I'll make a motion that we go with Kingsley 12-8151
purchase the ballot box that goes through the wall and into an office, into a secured container. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, planning commission, I don't see anybody. Yeah, that's fine.
Easy.
Moving on, treasurer's notes.
Mark Klein's here for the plan.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot you were on, Art, Jesus. You are you're the president.
I was sitting there.
You know, I'm so used to them not having anybody. Would you like to tell us about the planning commission, Mark?
What do you want?
Go ahead, just give us an update on what's going on.
Well, at our last meeting, the majority of the discussion was about potential solar projects. And they are on our border. And I believe we did, previous meetings, we've discussed about making some changes to the planning, or the land use plan and the zoning itself, doing some streamlining, taking out some what do you call them, ordinances, regulations, whatever, that we thought was excessive.
Hmm.
And that's about it, I guess. I gotta figure up an agenda for the next meeting. Probably I have found online a solar ordinance that's put out by Michigan State University. And I was gonna print that off and bring copies to all the members of the planning commission so they can read that and get an idea of what we are potentially dealing with or looking at. Hopefully they won't, my opinion is, I don't want solar. I've been approached by solar, but I don't want solar. Just soon leave things the way they are and be able to hunt deer where I want to or grow a field of hay. But that's about all I've got to offer on the planning commission.
Thank you. Okay, so, the treasurer's notes.
Just presenting my best report as is.
Okay. Entertain a motion to accept the treasurer's notes as presented.
I move to accept them as presented.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor? All opposed? Okay.
And the second thing that is, last thing we talked about, right now we got a website up and going, people are actually following through and using the correct part of that and make sure it's accurate with us, if I come for people doing that. Right now we got our emails on there, Computer Jackson is hosting it and doing those kind of things. And I was going out to look because right now we don't have nobody as IT support. I mean, we've had Collier County, that department, and we wait a little bit. I mean, they did a nice job. I was trying to find someone that we, if Susan and I already have a problem with their PCs or laptop, we could call, have them loaded, and right now we don't have nobody on site. So I went to Computer who's doing stuff now, and I got, went to Saber Tech here in town, and got quotes per se for support. Computer is like $95 per hour versus $160 for Sabertech per hour for support. Per se, we're looking to get Microsoft Office is now it's a monthly application, it's a monthly suite. You don't buy you buy a box more, you got to pay them a fee every month per se. And both places was within like $1 per month for that kind of stuff there. So what I gave the board here was basically right now we're paying $75 a month for our website and our emails and the backup for our emails for that also. So I will suggest, my motion is to go with computer ties for our web-based, for our backup, so we can upload our stuff and save it as a backup, for our support, and all that ransomware and antivirus stuff is all through computer ties. So basically, right now, we're at $75 a month, and roughly, it'll be like $165 a month for the whole complete package, for roughly $2,000 a year, to have a peace of mind that we got, get away from Libra, go to Excel, Microsoft Word, application programs for us, to have then do all the behind the scenes stuff for ransomware, backup, and support for our 3 boxes that we have in here. We don't have a network, so I'll always have a standalone PC or laptop that we have currently. So that's what I propose for is just go computer ties for the whole shebang, all that kind of stuff there for support and backup there.
So is this a motion to?
I make a motion to,
To use computer time,
Are there still $95 a month on top of this $165?
or is it just 2,000 flat?
Yeah, that's it, it's $165 per month, if it's, that's for support, but if you call them, that's gonna be $95 per hour. You're right, so that $165 is just strictly just all behind the scenes, and plus if you call them, it's roughly $95.
And how quick would they be down if we needed it?
Most of them, I use them more already for, our email, it's basically one time they would come here, they actually had a box down, but most of the time they remote in, through a secure website, remote in and see you doing it, and fix your box as is, all that kind of stuff there. Let me back up, and, computer ties roughly has, on your thing, you got, they support 14 townships up around the Jackson area, different townships, and 2 villages. SaberTech does support several cities and villages and townships here in Hillsdale County wide and stuff there. So I don't want to split the baby and have half over here SaberTech and half up in Jackson. So I just support have one place to hold the whole package wise and stuff there.
Okay. Motion was made to use computer ties.
I second.
And seconded, all in favor? All opposed? All right, on to the bills. Any questions? Had a chance to look them all over? Let's see anything on. Okay.
This road commission bill is probably the last one we'll have for the previous year.
Yeah. And then we'll start right over. So. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $47,023.22.
I'll make a motion.
Motion made
I'll second.
and seconded. All in favor? All opposed? That road commission bill sneaks right up in there. Okay, cemetery bills. Can we get a motion to pay the cemetery bills in the amount of $1,882.80?
I'll make a motion again.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? All opposed? Bills are paid. did a very good job, and I'm happy that the township is looking as it is. So I entertain a motion to accept the auditor's report at this time.
I move with accept the auditor's report.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? All opposed?
Randy, do we need to vote on this contract for early voting?
I don't know if we have to,
The sooner we get it in, the better.
is it something that we need to look at before we jump onto it, or is this something you're satisfied with?
I'm satisfied with it because it's pretty much the same thing as what was signed 2 years ago, other than the little bit of changes that I went over. And in the long run, if you do early voting, it saves the township money, where if otherwise, if you don't sign this agreement, the early voting has to be held here, and then you're having to pay all the election inspectors that are here.
Okay, because I haven't looked it over. I know we did it a couple of years ago and it went well. So,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, so I'll entertain the motion to accept the early voting contract.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, moving on. Gonna go back into public comment. Try to refrain from talking to each other and keep it friendly. 3 minutes. Who's first? Go ahead.
Okay, back to the website then. For the budget meeting, is that going to be on the website for sure? That meeting when scheduled?
When it's scheduled, yeah. We'll try, we'll get it done. The website is a new thing for us, so we're working very hard to please the township people by getting the website done. It has never had a website before.
I understand, and I know there's growing pains, but if that's
Very
not,
much.
besides coming here every day to look at the window, I have no other way of knowing.
We understand, and that's why we're really, Dave's doing the best that he can, and he's using a very reputable company to assist us with this, so hopefully we can work all the bugs out and you can get a website.
One more question. Is there a regular cadence for the planning commission meeting, and do we know what that meeting is?
Yeah, they meet first Monday of the month, I believe.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Here?
Yes.
One more question. Does the panel have an opinion on solar projects and community data center, these data centers coming in the future? Because I'll be knocking on our door. And I'm gonna tell you from what I've seen, they're not very forthcoming about the utilities required, and I'm an industrial engineer, and they're huge. And solar panels, that ruin the land once they're up. So, that's my opinion.
We aren't really, we don't have an opinion on whether or not solar can come in or not. Our job is to regulate solar or to at least ensure that if solar doesn't work and it is removed, that the costs and expenses of removing solar is set
farm across from us, French farm, they put all solar panels in. Well, you can't mow, you can't weed eat because of the collectors. They get broken and that, so they spray. Now, they've got lawsuits galore up there because 5 different families in the area have bad water because all that spray has gone into their aquifer. Now those solar panels are just sitting there and till this lawsuit settled. So, you know, there's really bad side effects to this down the road because this has been in there about 5-7 years now. And French, he's lost about 10 head of his dairy cattle because all this runoff into the creek, his cows drink out of the creek and he's losing cattle, so he's got a lawsuit. So there sits 350 acres with nothing but glop. Those panels just sit there now.
And, if anybody wants to see a solar field, just go west of Jonesville
Yeah.
and think about that being in your backyard. Okay, so any other public comment? Yes.
Knowing the budget surplus that the township has, I'm gonna go back to your, how much control you have on the spending of the money. My question is, with this new computer IT contract, how much do you guys use Microsoft? And trust me, I understand as clerk, LibreOffice sucks after 20, 30 years of Microsoft, but I don't think I sent out a single letter or really did a whole much that Microsoft Office actually affected. I was just curious what the justification is for spending money on that.
Well, because at times I had download stuff, I take it my place with Hillsdale, try to make like the page that goes in the tax bills. I had to tweak that on my Microsoft Word, Excel versus Libra. I use Excel quite a bit for tax collecting and sending things out and doing internally wise and so like and even Libra has been on that box a long time. It's a knockoff Excel, but it's not Excel, it's not Word, all that kind of stuff.
And if you save anything in Word, like say you save it in Libra and then you go in and change it in Word, Libra won't open it.
Right. Okay. I just say, as clerk, I never really had to use it, but that makes sense, Dave, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
And then my second comment, I'm a little disappointed, and you know where I stand on the election issues, that you guys have abdicated township control over elections with early voting. Because with the early voting comes online with the electronic poll book, you lost your auditability for anyone in the township who's actually voted early. So I have to say I'm very disappointed in this township board, given what we're involved with on the election issue. Whether you guys think you are involved or not, you are. That vote for early voting is a very bad thing if you want to keep the decentralized government in Michigan for elections.
Okay. Before, any more public comment? Okay, so let me take a step backwards here and go back to the supervisor notes. I spoke with the township attorney, and he will come down and visit with us. And he has a copy of the zoning ordinance that the planning commission has sent to him to look at, to give us yes or no. And we've got a solar field that's going to go in. We can tell them, you know, all we can do as a township is regulate. We can tell you, you can put it in over there. We can't tell you, the state says that they're going to be allowed to come in. We can't tell you you can't come in. We can ensure that if they do come in, this ordinance will ensure that there's money set aside if that field goes bust and for that to be taken back out. And the provisions of that will say that that ground has to be put back into the original condition. Now, having said that, I've heard horror stories about solar. I've heard that they go in and they take all the topsoil off. But then I've heard from others that they don't. They merely clear roads and they take this and provide solid, durable roads inside the solar field. I what does that do to the surrounding areas? I was told at one time, that it gets so hot that it'll burn the feet right off a bird if they land on it. What does that do to our climate if you've got, if you have 1,000 acres that's into a solar field? Has to affect the climate. Those answers you don't get when you're talking to them. They just want to put a field in. However, we have a field that is going to go in there. And our job is to ensure that if it doesn't work, then we're covered to get it out. And I'll know that, all the details, particulars, come Monday. So anyways, I'm going back after that. So having public comment and